Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? We're going to be talking about something that has me concerned, and I'm sure it's going to concern you as well. I wasn't sure I even wanted to talk about this, but it has me so bothered um that I had to get it off my chest. Okay. Allegedly, and I say alleged because I don't know this guy. I don't want to know this guy. Because he makes me sick. Okay. Uh the Antichrist has made himself known and has a message for Christians after the death of the Pope. He said, I am the legitimate Pope. There is no one else but me that you are obliged to obey. Really? Okay.
Now, O Christians in the East and the West, hear me and obey. I am a messenger sent to you from Jesus Christ, alayhi salam. Paul is false and led you astray. The church is corrupt and no longer upholds the law of God, nor does it defend the oppressed. The papacy has been stolen and the rightful heir has been pushed aside. There is no one else but me that you are obliged to obey. May God be a witness that I have proclaimed.
So now we're going to get into the nitty gritty and all the details. And because I literally dug. When I say dug, I dug. Okay. I went through the depths to find out every detail that I possibly could. So this Ahmadi religion of peace and light is a post-Islamic new religions movement led by Abdullah Hashim Abba al-Sadiq, who claims to be the successor of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Mohammed, the Comforter Ahmed, Simon Peter, and others. The religion is derived from the 12 branches of Shi'an Islam, and it's considered to be one of the emerging apocalyptic or doomsday movements from the Middle East. So there are channels on YouTube, TikTok, everywhere, to his religion claiming to be Mahdi, and that's Mahdi, that have appeared. Now, the phrase "the Mahdi has appeared" refers to be a belief in certain Islamic traditions, particularly in Shia and some Sunni communities, that the Mahdi is who is a prophesied redeemer, has emerged in the Islamic teachings. The Mahdi is expected to be a divinely guided figure who will appear before the day of judgment to restore justice, righteousness, and true Islamic governance, often in a time of great turmoil. Now, we can expect this guy to be the one to stop nuclear apocalyptic war and give the world a false sense of peace for the next 3.5 years before he starts unaliving Christians. Come to Christ now before it's too late. Okay, this is what is all over social media. Okay, this has stirred up a lot of noise, especially on social media platforms like X, YouTube, TikTok, with some calling him the Antichrist and tying his emergence to apocalyptic prophecies. Okay, so I'm going to break everything down for you with a clear head, sticking to what we know and avoiding speculation where possible. Okay, so Abdullah Hashim Abba al-Sadiq was born in 1983. He is an Egyptian American who founded the Ahmadi religion of peace and light, a new religious movement that splintered from 12 Shia Islam. He claims to be the messianic figure in Shia tradition, the Mahdi, the true pope, and the successor of multiple religious figures across Islam, Christianity, Judaism. His group, the Ahmadi Religion of Peace and Light, promotes a apocalyptic worldview, emphasizing the imminent end times and his role as a divinely appointed leader. These claims are not recognized by mainstream Islamic, Christian, or Jewish authorities and are widely considered controversial. His movements have gained traction online with millions of views on platforms like YouTube and TikTok, where followers proclaim the Mahdi has appeared. The group's messaging often ties to end-time narratives, promising a restoration of divine justice. Some posts on social media suggest he has amassed a significant following with claims of miracles and allegiance from supporters, though these are unverified. The concept of the Mahdi is rooted in Islamic eschatology. I don't think I said that correctly, but I'll go on. So in Shia Islam, particularly in the Twelver Shia, the Mahdi is the prophesied redeemer who will appear before the day of judgment to establish justice and defeat oppression, often alongside Jesus in Islamic traditions. So Sunni Islam also has Mahdi traditions, though they vary in emphasis. The Mahdi is expected to emerge in a time of chaos, uniting believers and restoring true faith. However, specific claims about the Mahdi's identity are highly contentious. Self-proclaimed Mahdis have historically faced skepticism, rejection by mainstream scholars. Now, Abdullah Hashim's claims to be the Mahdi aligns with this tradition, but diverges by incorporating Christians and Jewish figures, which is atypical and rejected by mainstream religious authorities. His assertion of being the legitimate pope, especially following the death of a pope, likely referencing a recent or hypothetical event, is particularly provocative, as it changes the Catholic Church's authority and taps into Christian apocalyptic fears. So, the message that was put out on social media suggests that Abdullah Hashim could be the Antichrist, a figure in Christian, like Revelations and also in the book of Daniel, who deceives the world, brings false peace, and persecutes Christians before Christ's return. The interpretation is echoed in some social media posts. This guy, he seems like a dangerous figure. He is tied to apocalyptic events, geopolitical conspiracies, okay? However, the Antichrist in Christian theology is typically a charismatic, deceptive leader who opposes Christ, often associated with a 7-year tribulation, including a period of false peace followed by persecution. So I want to approach this skeptically, okay? Abdullah Hashim's claims are bold, but they're not unique. His history is littered, okay, with self-proclaimed messiahs. And his movement's apocalyptic rhetoric and eclectic blending of Islamic and Christian and Jewish titles suggest a deliberate attempt to appeal to a broad audience in a time of global uncertainty. The viral thread of his message is amplified by social media, where sensational claims like the Mahdi has appeared, or I am the legitimate Pope is thriving. The idea that he'll stop a nuclear apocalyptic war and bring 3.5 years of peace is speculative. And it's also tied to Christian interpretations of end time prophecies. There's no evidence that he is the geopolitical influence to achieve such a feat. He is, and his group really remains a fringe movement. The death of the Pope references it's vague. Pope Francis, okay, yes, he passed. Okay, there's no major papal transition that has occurred yet, based on available data. This could be a hypothetical or misinformed claim circulating online. As for the false sense of peace, persecution of Christians, there are common tropes in apocalyptic narratives, but lack concrete grounding in Abdullah Hashim's actions so far. His group's focus seems more recruiting followers and spreading their message than orchestrating global events. Claims of miracles or CIA ties, as mentioned in some social media posts, are unverified and should be treated as inconclusive. The apocalyptic movements, like the Ahmadi religion of peace and light, often emerge in times of crises, economic instability, political turmoil, religious disillusionment. The Middle East, with its history of conflict, competing religious narratives, is fertile ground for such groups. Abdullah Hashim's claims tap into this, offering a unifying messianic figure for those seeking hope or even certainty. But his rejection by mainstream religious institutions and the lack of verifiable evidence for his miracles or authority undermine his credibility. So the come to Christ now, like some of the posts are saying, it's like a warning, okay, and it reflects a Christian evangelistic response to perceived end time signs. This urgency is common in reaction to figures like Abdullah Hashim, who challenge traditional religious frameworks. However, tying him directly to an antichrist for a specific 3.5 year timeline really risks oversimplifying a complex situation, and it ignores the need for discernment. So this guy is a charismatic leader of a fringe religious movement leveraging social media to amplify his claims. He's tapping into Islamic and Christian hopes, fears, but lacks recognition from mainstream authorities. Calling him the Antichrist or predicting that he'll stop a nuclear war and then persecute Christians is speculative. And then it leans heavily on unverified prophecy interpretations. His movement is worth watching, but it's premature to assign him a starring goal or role, whatever, in a global apocalypse. Now, as a Catholic, my instinct to question this guy is grounded in the Church's teachings on discernment. The Catechism of the Catholic Church warns that before Christ returns, the Church will face a final trial involving deception, including a pseudo-messianism, where a figure often associated with the Antichrist exalts themselves above God. And Hashim's bold assertions, calling him the Mahdi or the legitimate Pope and the successor of Jesus and others, fits the profile of a self-proclaimed Messiah, which naturally invites scrutiny from the Catholic perception. Okay. And the fact that Hashim's movements stem from a post-Islamic framework adds another layer of skepticism. And Catholicism and Islam have distinct theological frameworks. And while both share some final judgment themes, if you will, the claims of cross-religion authority, like being both the Mahdi and the true Pope, are highly irregular, and the conflict with Catholic doctrine, which holds that the Pope is the successor of Saint Peter, appointed through the Church's apostolic tradition. Because I immediately question, a lot of things that align with the Catholic call to test spirits and avoid false prophets. I was always told by my mom, okay, we're going back years, that the Antichrist will come, and when he does, he'll be wearing a blue turban. Then when I was an adult, and I met my husband's grandmother, she made the same claim about the blue turban. Now, keep in mind, my mom and my husband's grandmother had never met each other. So the detail about the Antichrist wearing a blue turban mentioned by both my mom and my husband's grandmother is striking, especially since they never ever met. And this suggests either a shared cultural or religious source, or the idea of a remarkable coincidence. So, do you see what I'm trying, you know? Because the image of a figure in a blue turban is often linked to like 16th century Nostradamus. Um, so I tried to connect that, but there's no evidence that this guy wears a blue turban or is associated with one. His public appearances, based on available media, show him in modern attire or religious robes, not traditional headwear like a turban. So his movement, this Ahmadi religion of peace and light, draws from Shia Islam, but doesn't emphasize specific cultural symbols like turbans, blue or otherwise. So he doesn't match my mom and my grandmom's prophecy based on any current information that I could possibly find. But here's what I do know. Um, um, where my brain, sorry, it stopped working. He has been described, that the Antichrist has been described as a mystery of iniquity, deceiving people and by mimicking Christ's role while opposing God. He will be a human figure, not a supernatural entity who promotes a secular or a false ideology. He will deceive many, even the faithful, through signs and wonders. The church rejects precise timelines or speculative identifications of the Antichrist, urging caution against apocalyptic sensationalism. Catholic theologians like St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas emphasize that the Antichrist identity will only be clear in hindsight, and the church discourages fixating on specific individuals like Hygiene without overwhelming evidence. So the focus should be on fidelity to Christ and the sacraments, not fear-driven speculation. However, the church would likely advise caution because he claims, I am the legitimate pope. It's like they are heretical from a Catholic perspective, but yet they don't yet indicate the global influence or deception associated with the Antichrist. His movement is fringe, with no evidence of the geopolitical power needed to fulfill prophecies like a false peace or a widespread persecution. And that blue turban detail that is constantly stuck in my head, while personally significant to me, doesn't align with this guy's known imagery and may point to a different tradition or a figure. So there's that. But anyway, what do you guys think? Have you heard of this guy? Um, I'm personally disturbed by it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I'm an extremely religious person and I need to pray about this. I really do. So let's talk about this because I'm not okay with this. I'm really not. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next one, okay? You stay safe, you stay positive, you keep repping, and as always, fearless. And God bless. Yeah.